Hi, I'm Rockin' Robyn Lane for Rat TV, and we're here at the Starland Ballroom for the Rats pre-summer meltdown. One of the great bands on the bill, Redlight King. We've got Jules, the guitarist, and we have Kaz, the man behind Redlight King. This isn't your first go-around with recording. I mean, before this album came out, you were a recording artist back in Ontario.
Yeah, hi Robyn. How are you, by the way?
I'm alive and well.
Yeah, she is. Thanks for doing this. Yeah, I've been doing this for about 15 years. Not saying I'm old or anything, but yeah, I've been doing it a long time. I had a record. This is our third record deal actually. So been kicked around a bit, but we're still making records. So
now, Jules is someone you've known for a long time. Has he been in prior bands with you?
That's right. Yeah, we had a band in Canada. I've been playing and writing songs with Jules for over 10 years now. So when I first started Redlight King, he was the first phone call when I knew I had some pretty cool sounding demos.
And did you guys grow up together?
We didn't really grow up together, but I think I met him when I was like maybe 19, 20 years old, and we just.
There's a funny story about that. I'll interrupt him. Well, I asked him to be in our first band, and he turned me down 3 times. So, and he was like, "I'll see you at the top," and so here we are.
And connected, and you're on the album as well. You play on the album, Jules. Right on. So you've got a really wild story to tell. I mean, you've got quite the story to tell about your journey, and the songs on this album it pretty much tells the tales of the troubles and the challenges that you faced before, getting to the place that you're at now. Yeah, and Bullet in My Hand, a great song that we're playing on the Rat. Actually, it's one of the most requested songs on our radio station. And has been since, almost the first time that we played the record. That one also talks about dealing with personal demons. I mean, really, for sure. But there's a positive message in that song. I mean, if you look hard enough, you're definitely going to detect that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely, you're correct with that. I mean, for me, it was a pretty humbling experience. Hitting rock bottom is never really a good look for anyone, but at the same time, it made me a stronger person, and it gave me certainly a lot to write about, and we're really grateful that the song and the music and the message is out there connecting with people. It's been great.
The whole album is pretty much like that. Not every single song, but the album starts with the title track, and it ends with When the Dust Settles Down. I mean, there are songs on this album that tell the story about the missteps that you've made in life and your desire to turn it all around and, to start all over again. The very last song on the album, When the Dust Settles Down, to me, that's a song of inspiration. I would imagine that there are a lot of people who were inspired by that song. Have you had anyone ever come up to you and told you that your songs have inspired them to clean their lives up and, move forward?
I think, yeah, I mean, on this record, not so much in the past, but on this record especially, we were we played Rock on the Range, and then we snuck out and we were watching some other bands play, and I had a couple people just come up to us and shaking our hand. One guy started banging out the lyrics to Dust Settle Down. He just started singing them at us, and he was like, "Dude, you helped me get through the rough times in our life," and shook my hand, and that was awesome to relate.
How does it feel to know that you've inspired someone to just pick themselves up by their bootstraps and just move forward?
I think it's amazing. I think it's part of what we do, but wasn't really my intention at making the record. I just wanted to write a song, I guess sort of a therapy thing, or to put it out there, some real lyrics. We write about the human condition, and I don't think that's ever changed. I mean, if you look back even to Dylan and some of the stuff that those guys were writing about, Petty and Springsteen, we're all kind of speaking the same thing. So.
And the very first song that we started playing, Old Man, that song that samples Neil Young, that's about your dad.
Yeah, it's about the old man, son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
Give us a little background on Pops.
I mean, he was a hard-headed, strong, hard-working dude, and he came from a tough upbringing and sort of passed that on to us. So he was a guy. It was a tough up and down relationship. I think a lot of people share that with their fathers. I think that's something we all go through. And when I heard Neil Young, I'm a huge Neil Young fan, so when I heard his song, I always thought he was talking about his old man. And I found out later he wrote the song about a rancher and stuff. And anyways, I wrote an original song. It was called Hard Working Hands, and then I heard that song on the way home from the studio, and we sort of blended the two, and then we re-recorded all the guitars and did our own version of it and got it to Neil, and he liked it. But yeah, it was a song about my old man.
The name of the band, Redlight King, that has something to do with your dad as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the name was inspired by a race car we had when we were growing up. It's called the Redlight Bandit, and that's because he always jumped the gun. He always red lighted, so we lost all the time. But he had to sell the car. We went broke, and it was just that's what inspired the name. But a Red Light King is about it's about all the barriers we face, and I've definitely ran a few red lights in my life too. It's also about those mistakes, but it's wearing them as a badge of honor, as to how far we've come, and that if you can persevere, you can get through it.
Was there ever a time in your life, because things had gotten very bad for you, where you thought that you were never, ever going to crawl out from under it all?
Of course. I don't know. I think for me it was a lot of just, drug and alcohol abuse, and then you lose perspective, and then it creeps up on you faster than you could hope. But anyways, I'm happy to put it behind me.
Not a lot of people get to do that. I mean, there are so many people who've been through similar trials, and unfortunately, they never climb out, and eventually those people die. And then there are some people who hit rock bottom, and sometimes you have to hit rock bottom more than once. Maybe there's a light that goes on in your head. Maybe you find God, or you just, get so damn fed up with what's going on in your life. What was the major turning point in your life that made you just say, you know what, it's time to clean this up and move forward?
I remember waking up in jail. I mean, that was one moment where I was like, well, I'm going to be either behind bars, and it's either live or die. That was one thing in my life. And there was a couple things, but it was a living hell for me. So I mean, I'm just happy to be past it. It's something I still fight with and battle with every day, those demons. Hold them down with both hands, but
they tell you one day at a time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still fight it today. So,
what are you going to write about next on the next album?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're quite as personal now. I still think there's the human condition, and Jules and I have been writing the next record. It's more straight up rock, but there's still songs that people will relate to. There's some relationship stuff on there. There's some, just general concern and discontent with the way things are in life. We're going through a tough time, our economy, and I think there's some hidden political stuff there. No agenda, mind you. It's very rock and roll.
Now, will you collaborate on lyrics with Jules maybe on the next album? Or is it just you're strictly the lyricist?
I think we kind of go off whatever, if it's a guitar riff or if it's a lyric idea, and we just kind of go off each other. But for the most part, yeah, it is. I mean, these are personal songs for Kaz, so he does do most of the lyric writing. He bounces ideas off each other. But
you help him, build the songs.
Of course, yeah.
Whatever Jules does, I usually go with the opposite.
Yeah, he goes. I usually say, "Here's an idea," and he goes, "That sucks. Let's do something else." I'm just kidding.
True. That's not true. Well, it's good to get in a room and jam out ideas. A lot of the songs we start stripped down, acoustic guitars, and then progressively, say, how do we want to, present this one, and usually it's like more guitar, so it's good.
Well, I'm glad you're still here on Earth, and it's a pleasure to see you guys, because you guys have been to the Rat before, last year, in fact, and performed in our lobby for our staff, and that was really cool to have you. But again, have a great time tonight at the Rat's Pre-Summer Meltdown, just the start before Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you tonight here at the Starland Ballroom.